Attention. One of the things we do more or less every Christmas is we show appreciation, recognition for someone. And this year it's a very special recognition. And the person that we're recognizing isn't here today, and I have to tell you why he's not here today. It's Jerry Trachtman. He's a senior partner in a large law firm in Melbourne, Florida. And he has a jet plane, and he was going to fly his plane from Melbourne to here. This morning, it was basically fog, and it only lifted about 200 feet off the runway. So he wasn't able to be here. And, you know, it's like an anesthesia, you know. In the practice of medicine, safety always comes first. And also, you always want to have options. So it's not about taking off the plane into a fog. It's about, if you have an emergency, you have to see the ground to safely land, unless you're trying to do it on an aircraft carrier, I guess. Anyway, so he's not here, but we're going to proceed with honoring him. And to do that, I'd like to introduce you to two people. One person in particular, and that's Dr. Shannon Stocker. Now, Dr. Stocker has just recently been appointed on our board of directors, and it was Jerry Trachtman that strongly said she's got to be on our board. So Shannon and Greg, would you mind coming up for a minute, please? And I apologize for my voice. I'm getting over a bug here. And in case you don't know, Dr. Stocker, she was one of our earlier patients that was put into a ketamine coma for 5 days in the intensive care unit. And when I first saw her, and please tell me if I'm not accurate, but you can watch it for yourself. We have a video on the internet. You can watch her. She had ulcers on her arms, and they were just getting worse. They were progressing, and they were open and risk of bleeding. And as a matter of fact, you were worried, Craig, am I right? You were worried that she may not be
we were told by a couple people that she should have her right arm amputated and put in permanent care because there was no way she was going to make a recovery. So.
Yeah. And I remember in the video, one of the comments that you made, one of her biggest concerns was what? About doing what? That you may not be able to do.
Have children.
That's right. That's right. That's right. And a very heartfelt way that didn't mean like it was even possible. Now tell us what you've got in the bag.
We keep them out of the bag most of the time. Just
my
when we travel.
2-year-old little girl and my 7-month-old son. They are blessed.
That's right. And you can see she doesn't have any of these ulcers anymore. She's, against my advice, she's wearing high heels.
No, I'm not.
My medical advice. But she said she brought some flats along.
I'm wearing them.
Yeah. So one of the big things that leads to relapse in patients with CRPS after treatment, you get them pain-free, is re-injury. And we always worry about all that weight bearing coming down ankles and knees as being a form of re-injury. So we have to be really careful. But if these patients can go like she has, she's now almost 3 years out from the ketamine coma, am I right?
Almost 4 years.
Almost 4 years out, right?
That'll be 4 years in April.
Right. So she can probably afford to take more risks than most patients. Now, what I want to do at this moment here is I want you to accept a plaque on behalf of Mr. Trachtman and his wife. And by the way, Debbie was so disappointed that she couldn't come. Today is actually her birthday. And we had a nice suite set up for her and all this, so they're really disappointed. Yeah, well, they tell me it's a beautiful place. What's the name of that place?
Emerald Green.
Emerald Green, yeah. It's a very beautiful place. And so they're really disappointed they couldn't come. But we're going to proceed anyway. So we have a plaque here. And in giving this to, you can just hold it up so everybody can kind of see it. It was kind of like a last minute type thing. We had to get this plaque ready on an emergency basis, right, Sanella?
Yes.
We'll keep that a secret. But anyway, we'll keep that a secret. But anyway, let me tell you a little bit about how I met Mr. Trachtman. It was about 20 years ago, and I was flying my plane. I don't know if you know this. I have an amphibious aircraft, and when landing on the water, if I see boats, the powered boats on the water, I usually feel that the Coast Guard feel it's safe and so forth. So I landed on this water over near what they call Shell Key or someplace like that. Well, anyway, after I landed, everything seemed fine, and before you know it, I get this letter from the FAA, the Federal Aviation Administration, saying I broke the law. And I didn't know what I had done, but anyways, it turns out where I landed, it's a bird sanctuary. And so I'm assuming that because power boats were down there, I could land down there. So anyway, I'm thinking in my mind, geez, the last thing I need to do is get cited by the FAA, because that's a public record. And usually they come up with, I wish Jerry was here, they come up with some kind of statement, reckless and this and that, all kinds of really terrible things. Well, I'm just telling you, you don't want to get a black eye from those guys. So anyway, I called around, I said, listen, I want an attorney who really knows aviation law, who can help me with the situation. So I called around, so finally I got a hold of the Aircraft Owners Pilots Association of America, which is the largest private pilot organization in the United States. I asked, who would you recommend? And they all pointed their finger at Jerry Trachtman, so I hired him. To make a long story short, it was Jerry Trachtman that got me off the hook. I didn't get anything but just a friendly warning letter, something like that. So nothing to really impugn my wonderful reputation. So at least flying airplanes, you know. So anyway, it was from that point we kind of forgot about it. A couple of years go by, and guess what? All of a sudden he appears in the clinic at Tampa General Hospital with his wife, diagnosed now with CRPS. Okay. So she's been my patient now for, God knows, I don't know, 10 years, I guess. And the point here is that I want to make is that without Jerry there as a lawyer, with all of his expertise and his wisdom, I don't think we would be where we are today as a foundation. There are so many things that happen, as Dr. Downs will attest, some weird stuff happens at the university, and you really need a good lawyer. Don't you think, Dr. Downs, now and then, too?
There's no question about that. Lawyers are good people. They're on your side.
Right. And one of the things he told me is that, you know, some of the lawyers he's dealt with in the past is if they get on the phone, they're driving their car, ka-ching, ka-ching, the meter's running. Well, with Jerry Trachtman, he has never charged a cent, not a cent. And he's given hundreds and hundreds of hours to the foundation and helping us navigate through some very difficult waters with sharks swimming all over the place. So without his help, we wouldn't be here today. So with that in mind, I hope that Jerry will have an opportunity to see the video we're doing here today. And that I think what we can do right now, I think we should give a big hand of applause to Jerry Trachtman. And a happy birthday to Debbie! Okay, thank you very much.
A real quick word to know from a patient perspective, and I'm sure he knows this because of where his wife's at right now, but again, from a patient perspective, very, very grateful for the work that Jerry does, for the work that Dr. K does, for the work that everybody here does. I would not have what I have without you all, and so lots of gratitude to you all for everything that you do every single day.
I have to second that. Thank you.